Good point.
I am not clapping for that. I'm clapping for the Cleveland Guardians. How about the kids? Man, they roll up. And, dude, talk about good vibes and feeling it. It must have been pretty nice when they drove the stake through the White Sox heart. And they've just kept it rolling. Tito has the boys feeling good. The boys have the boys feeling good as they take care of their business in Texas. And it ends with them popping bottles because they are guaranteed to be playing games in the postseason this year. Like I said before in the burn, their front office and their payroll, by the way, and I think I gave them proper, they know some stuff I don't know. And look at these kids who have come up this year and been studs for them. I didn't know that. They did. I still think, was there room for one or two more free agents or guys on this team? I think so. But they have fully taken control of the division. And yeah, Trev, I dropped it on you earlier. They have it now. They have a 10-game lead in the AL Central.
Obviously I talked about these dudes with old C. Rosie this morning, Cleveland's finest. He's very pumped up. And one of the things I read prepping for that show, they're a good base running team. They're aggressive on the base pass. I think they go first or third better than any team in all of baseball. They have 5 dudes approaching 20 stolen bases apiece. And that is just it just doesn't happen anymore. And what I told Rosie, and I've said this on the show too before, it's like every single team goes into spring training and says, we're going to be aggressive on the base pass. We're going to put pressure on the defense. We're going to work the counts, have good at bats. We're going to play solid defense. And then it just becomes, you just forget all that shit. You go out and play and you don't steal bases. And, every once in a while you're aggressive on the base pass, but it's not really a focal point. The Guardians have made all of that a focal point. They actually went out and did it. All the things they set out to do, they actually went out and did it. And is that because they have like a really young roster who just buys into anything that Tito's going to say? Maybe. They're lucky they have a guy like Tito to point them in the right direction. But they just went and they just did it, dude. When it looked dire at the beginning of September and the White Sox, I think they caught him, right? They caught him. They were tied the top of the AL Central. Then they went and won 18 of 21. They laughed at that shit. Like the pressure came to them and we talked about like, are they going to crumble? Dude, it's a young team. And they didn't.
Yeah.
They went the opposite way. And if you listen to all of them talk, in the celebration, and all they ever talk about is hard work. And I believe these guys. Sometimes that's lip service, bro. Like sometimes the teams will say that shit and you're like, okay, really, dude? Like how hard are you guys working? What are you doing? I believe that this Guardians team got a taste of being in first place and liked it. That's yummy. They wanted more. And the only way to get more for them was to continue to apply the things that they were talking about in spring training and to continue to work hard. And they've had some really good years out of McKenzie and Quantrill, and we know, what Bieber's done, and they have a bullpen that's really gotten it done. I think that's been really important to them. But the way these guys have approached the offensive part of the baseball is really fun. Like going, and it really does matter when teams are aggressive on the base pass. It just puts you on alert. Like, that you have to be perfect or else you're going to make an error. There are times when you face teams like the White Sox, who you feel the ground ball, and you can take 2 or 3 steps towards first base and lob the fucker over there because they're not doing what the Guardians do. Or you're in the outfield and you can go down to one knee and stop a ball and toss it in the cutoff man. That's not the case with the Guardians. You better come up ready to throw. And when you come up ready to throw, there's more chances you're going to make errors. And then that just keeps going and going and going. And every team tries to do that or says they want to be that team. There's always this one coach who's like, not really the coach, but he's like the base running guy. And like, he takes it so seriously and he wants it to happen. But the rest of the guys are like, dude, there's way more that we got to do that's more important than that. But this team, they did it, man. It's fucking cool. I'm excited for them, and we all overlooked them, and it's fine. It's okay to admit that, dude.
It's and another shout out for Tito, because you know we play the game. We don't know where to give credit where credit's due for managers sometimes. Tito's got the resume that says he's got his fingerprints on this. But again, can I give Tito full credit for what Stephen Kwan's been this year? I don't think so. For Tristan McKenzie's full-blown breakout, I don't know, but Tito matters. I don't know to what degree, and why don't you be your own judge at home? And this team has a playoff formula between Bieber and McKenzie, Clase on the back end, and Jose Ramirez, Kwan, Rosario, Naylor, Jimenez, and big Oscar Gonzalez. This team has a winning formula. I'm very interested to see their playoff matchup, but those at least 2 or 3 games in Cleveland, good for them. And they bully balled the Rangers a little bit in Texas and then pop bottles. So good for the kids. Good for the kids. Trev, I guess I'll skip down to Tigers White Sox because the Tigers sweep them. The White Sox have lost 6 straight. I mean, do you want to deliver the eulogy or anything, or it's just over?
I guess it was always over, and
Yeah,
I
right?
couldn't see it.
Right?
Like all this shit that people were saying, usually you brush it off. Like, hey, talent takes over. Ain't playing the game hard. Doesn't seem like they're motivated. And again, like, is that really the case? I'm not sure. From the outsider's perspective, it looked like that, but it just never got there. It just never got there. And, you know, of course, they dealt with their share of injuries. Every team does. Every team does. And I don't know, man. I thought the White Sox were poised for a massive year. They brought in a bunch of bullpen guys. I think I picked their bullpen in our like little charade game where, you know, we went and picked different positions. They got hurt preseason, and then I don't know, man. It's weird because they've also had like a crazy Cy Young year from Dylan Cease, who was like
Right.
coming into the year we knew was good, but we're like, okay, we got Giolito, we got Lance Lynn, Kopech is going to be really good. Cease, like, if you would have told White Sox fans Dylan Cease is going to have a Cy Young year, they would have said we're going to the World Series.
Yeah.
Like with our lineup, with the other pitchers surrounding him, with the bullpen guys that we brought in, we're going to the World Series. There wasn't a big hole in the roster. And it just never took off, man. It never took off. And yeah, I mean, my prediction's gone. It's out.
Yeah.
It's just fine, dude. You know, it's tough.
But
this team just, I don't know, man. I mean, it's gone. R.I.P.
So I'll do this live. Have you talked to Giolito at all, or like, I guess would you even approach that until after the season at this point? You know what I'm saying?
I haven't talked to him about this. No. And after the season, I for sure will. But what the hell happened, guys? And he'll be honest with me. I think that what happened is what we all think happened. Just I go back and forth because I've heard them say Tony La Russa was the right guy for the job. I think Giolito even said that. And I said, you know what? Okay. Maybe I was wrong about Tony La Russa. I just don't think they had the right people at the helm of that thing from the get-go.
Yeah.
And I've been quoted as saying managers don't do anything, and I still stand by that for the most part. I think he set the precedent and just wasn't good. It just wasn't.
It's tough to argue against, right? Who really knows a lot of the stuff behind those doors? But I mean, you know, just some of the little stuff throughout the season. I don't know. It's hard not to point that finger. And yeah, as they lost that Guardian season, and they're just letting the wheels come off, and that's got to be a tough clubhouse. That's just got to be that's a weird environment. Javi Baez is hitting this month. I'm happy for him. Tiger fans, maybe you could take a little of that into next year for you.
Great question in the chat.
Sure.
I want a 15-second response out of you.
Perfect.
If you swapped Tito and Tony La Russa, is it the outcome different?
Yes.
I think so too.
Yes. I mean, absolutely.
Tony La Russa has changed my way of thinking about managers. Like, I have to say, like, there are some that matter, bad and good now. And before this year, I wouldn't have said that.
We're always growing, people, constantly learning, becoming better versions of ourselves. Angels and Twins played. You got an Ohtani day, 5 innings, 2 earned with an RBI single. Trout had a big final day that those sandwiched a Twins win. Both of these teams. This is kind of the Plouffe and Jake Bowl here. Early on in the season, some stock there. And by the way, as we're coming off Dodgers, White Sox, I remember we were at spring training. Those two teams share a facility, and it felt like we were seeing like the two heavyweights. It was like, whoa. Like, there's the big bad Dodgers. There's the big bad White Sox. Like, this could be the World Series, and now look. So
I think that was a very popular preseason prediction was Dodgers, White Sox.
Yes.